new manager on the horizon for West Ham. We've decided to take a look at the current squad and pick out 3 players we think might succeed under Lopetegui, but also 3 players might struggle. We've already done that video. It's up on the forum channel. I'll put a link to it, the video in the description, as well as being on the end slate as well. This is a slightly more positive video out of the 2. Gonzo, have you got your 3 players ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I've been pondering this quite a while, and I think I've certainly got more than 3. So I won't give you. We'll do 3. We'll do 3. But I've got more.
Because I was going to say, actually, I had to whittle this list down. Actually, there was 1 or 2 I went him, and I thought, right, who's the next one? And I had 5 or 6 contenders. Whereas when we did the 3 to struggle, there was 1 or 2, yeah, him and him. Then I thought, oh. I had to almost think of the 3rd one to put in, whereas this one was easier to do. It was harder to miss people, which is a good thing, because it means that there's more people we think will do well under Lopetegui than perhaps won't. So this is positive. We're starting positively, Gonzo. Who would have thought it? Anyway, would you like to kick us off with your first nomination?
Yeah, but what I will say is I do feel over the last little while, Nathan Gerd has been taken away from me as an option. So he was certainly someone I was looking at, but you can't really include him. But I thought there were a lot of attributes that he had that would have lent himself to the way Lopetegui.
Yeah, I had that with Calvin Phillips, but he's been taken away from me as well.
That's a shame. So I'm sorry for you there. I'm actually going to start with Edson Alvarez, and a lot of Lopetegui, depending on which website or which coaching masterclass you read or watch, Lopetegui is either going to play with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. Either way, I do feel that Edson Alvarez is going to be absolutely integral to what he does. And he is a manager that I believe is cautious in his nature. He is somebody that, from all the reports that I've read, when he allows his fullbacks to go forward, which is a numerous times, then the central defensive midfielder goes back and sits in between the centre backs. Well, we got the perfect guy for that already at the club. You know, Edson Alvarez has that defensive instinct, which can allow him to do that. He was doing that under Moyes anyway, despite Moyes having a little hissy fit towards the end. He's going to be able to do that. He will do it naturally. He obviously used to be a centre-back. He's very comfortable as a centre-back. But more importantly, he's also, for that sort of player, which I would always, I used to traditionally call a stopper, if you want. He is very comfortable on the ball. And when he's been allowed to be, he's actually demonstrated on numerous occasions this season that actually he's far better than I thought he was. Remember you speaking to somebody, doing an interview with somebody that knew all about him. I don't know if he was an Ajax fan or Mexican, whatever. You did a video with somebody, and he was obviously telling us what he could do, but he said you may find he's a little bit limited when in possession. So I went in thinking that was the case. So I've been nothing but pleasantly surprised by him. He's so much better with the ball at his feet than maybe somebody else that might feature in the forum. Might feature in the forum video. But yeah, he's Edson Alvarez. I think first off that he's in my list of 3.
Yeah, I understand why he's not made my list of 3, but he's one of the contenders. I'm going to pick the person I think will play next to him in James Ward-Prowse, who I think's had a good start to his West Ham career and produced good numbers. But I do think he was perhaps somebody that suffered a little bit on the eye because of how we played under David Moyes. He's been played in a number 10 position, and then on occasions he was played left wing. And this just wasn't James Ward-Prowse's game, right? And I think it really hindered him. And then he would get played in sort of a double pivot with a lot of defensive duties to do. And I think he will be continued to be played in that double pivot alongside Alvarez or just in front of him as a number 8. But I think he will benefit from having, and this is where you can almost play the same formation and ask James Ward-Prowse to do the same job to some extent, but because of the different styles of manager, we will, instead of defending for 70 minutes, we will probably try and have the ball for large parts of the game. And his duty under Lopetegui will be different to what it was under David Moyes. Under David Moyes, it was, asking him to protect the back four, which he just cannot do. He's not a good defensive midfielder. But under Lopetegui, he may be told or asked, can you just keep the ball, West Ham? Can you move it about? Can you provide a little bit of cover? The right back goes too far forward. Can you just keep an eye on that side? And I think he can do all those things. And Lopetegui likes a good old set piece as well. Maybe not quite as much as how we've relied upon it or Arsenal do with Declan Rice and Saka taking corners for Gabriel and Saliba. But I think Ward-Prowse, I think he will almost become the teacher's pet, actually. A little bit Souček and Moyes-esque. I actually think Ward-Prowse will do really well under Lopetegui. I think he ticks a lot of the boxes for him because he is neat and tidy in possession. I don't think I've seen too many complaints that he's not. It's just that he's not very adventurous with the ball. And I think those complaints are valid. I'm just not sure that will bother the new manager too much. The fact that he's hitting a 95% success rate every game, I think, is what Lopetegui think. I'm having a bit of that in midfield, thank you very much, because we know he likes to keep the ball. Ward-Prowse is very good at that. He's maybe not good at creating chances, but in terms of just taking it off player A and giving it to player B, he's pretty good at it. So I've got Ward-Prowse on my list. Who's next up for yourself, Gonzo?
I'm going to go with Emerson, actually, because we've got somebody. Yeah, you got a manager there who loves his fullbacks, to attack. Make up a large part of the attack from everything I've read and watched and videos and everything else. The fullbacks are giving the width. We said it before, didn't we? If we were playing FIFA and you get that attacking midfielder and you want to tweak your formation, you move him out of position, he becomes a left attacking midfielder. And that's what I feel the wingers will become in many respects. So maybe Bowen or, Kudus, well, they might make Kudus into a number 9, but we don't know. But our wingers are going to be a little bit more central than they certainly have been under Moyes. So the fullbacks give you the width. So what that means is you need an attacking fullback. Well, he's got one in Emerson. The other thing is Emerson's been at his absolute best when he's played with Paquetá. Now, a part of that is an understanding. They do have a natural understanding. Both obviously played together at Lyon, both Brazilian. They've got, some really, really good, you've got the language thing going on there. But I don't think it's just that. I do think that Emerson is a ball player. And I often do wonder when I look at players who plays well in training. When I do the 5-a-side games, I bet Emerson's magnificent. I bet he really, really is. I bet you want him on your 5-a-side team when you're doing training. Particularly if it's, whatever. They used to do it under Harry Redknapp, if it wins like the 5-a-side game, they get the next afternoon off or something like that. If that was up for grabs, you'd want Emerson on your team because he could do a little bit of everything. We know that Lopetegui is a possession-based coach, and he loves that. All day long, if he can play little triangles and little 1-2s and stuff like that, I actually think he's going to thrive, absolutely thrive under Lopetegui. I understand Cresswell's, done the contract extension or whatnot, or at least at the point of recording this video, that's what we think is the case. That being said, Emerson, I think, will really fit his system well.
Yeah, I'm going for Emerson as well. I think for the reasons you've said, and also what you just mentioned at the end there in regards to Aaron Cresswell, because had Cresswell left the club, we would have had to go get a left back, and it would have been very interesting to see what level of left back we targeted. Are we going to go out and get somebody that's cheap and free, that's just going to become Aaron Cresswell the second? Or are we going to go get somebody and spend big money like Ian Matson and say, there you go, right, now we're going to have competition at left back? And I think because we've decided to re-sign Cresswell, which comes as no surprise, given that there's other areas in the squad that require priority, and that Lopetegui tried to sign him at Wolves, so clearly he's a fan of Aaron Cresswell already. And I think there's a role for Cresswell, but I think the re-signing of Cresswell now, if it was done 2 months ago, it would have been a club decision, but because it's done now, I feel comfortable saying it's a Lopetegui decision, and probably a Tim Steidten one as well, which is we've only got so much transfer budget, so he's going. We're going to have to probably get someone in that's free, and there's a risk in that. Why take the risk when you can actually just sign Cresswell that is good here, he's comfortable here, etc., etc. But what it does do is show that they're happy with Emerson as first choice left back.
Yeah,
and I think that has got to be a massive, big boost for him. No European football next season, so in terms of fatigue and stuff, that won't be there. So we should see high energy performances from him week in, week out, which is going to be required. But he's very good at getting up and down that left-hand side. So I'm looking forward to to Emerson next season, actually. And if you could just improve his crossing a little bit, because I still think Cresswell's the better of the two, then we'll have a damn fine left back on our hands, actually. So Emerson makes it. Now, I've actually guessed who I think is your third player.
Go on.
I'm not too sure. So it's here. Who's your third player?
Well, it's a tricky one, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I'm far from certain about the transfer. Far from certain because so much hinges on it. So I'm going to go with Lucas Paquetá. Who have you got there?
Earthy.
I do. I believe that. I mean, look, there was loads of people, Geo. You know, I mean, I think if Downs were to come back, I think he'd like him. I think there are a lot of people who he would like. Yeah, Earthy. Yeah, get ready for that, particularly for that inside midfield position. But the person that is going to take that, whatever it is, the person that used to be a winger, Lucas Paquetá, this guy is going to. He hasn't really had a canvas. If you imagine, I look at Paquetá as an artist, and he's got his paintbrush or his multicolored pen.
Yeah, he's got a multicolored pen.
Right, but the canvas he's had to paint on has been like a postage stamp. So he gets little periods to do his stuff. Not much. So we don't have much of the ball. You would imagine we will have the majority of possession in a lot of games. Not all of them. I'm not a fool in that sense. But I would imagine, you know, like sometimes we do our Patreon player ratings and we do our stat attack. And when we look at it, how many passes we had, who's our highest passer, in terms of it being comparable to the opposition, we'll often find that our best passers played 60 bloody passes and the opposition's done 120, right? That's not me being sensationalistic, is it? That stuff happens, right? Fair enough?
In some games, when we're playing the better teams like Man City and Aston Villa, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have games next season where we're having our best players are having 100, 120, 150 touches or passes, whatever the case may be, right? He would be there. He would thrive in that. He wouldn't feel the pressure of having 3-4 good opportunities to make something happen. He'd have the ball on numerous occasions in really good positions. He's comfortable on the ball. His pass and move. I think Lopetegui would love him. I think he would love Lopetegui. It's predicated upon him staying at West Ham. But I haven't given up on that happening. You know, so much of it is sort of pending on this FA investigation. And if that doesn't happen, if it could drag on, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's already dragged on for 9 months, right? It's not beyond the realms of possibility that it drags on for another 6 weeks. That's not a ridiculous thing to suggest. And if it does, then, you know, you're in a bit of a situation whereby, okay, well, it looks like nothing's happening. He's going to have to come back for pre-season. He's going to have to start doing it. And you know what? I do wonder if there's a situation where he plays for us next season. If he does, I actually think he would be so good. I actually think he would. I was going to say he'd be our star player, and it's a bit of an insult to say that he's not now, but he's not. He's slid down the rankings. He's not finished the season well at all. So yeah, I think he would thrive in a possession-based team.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm just intrigued as to where he would play, because obviously you've then got Kudus and Bowen as well, so you can't really. If he's going to go 4-2-3-1, the number 10 makes sense, but then that means Kudus out on the left probably, which is something I'm hoping we'd get away from. So I'm intrigued as to how we go about this squad assembling for next season. And obviously, Copa America, Paquetá will be back for pre-season, but you could argue that makes it even more difficult to sign him to some extent. And then, like you said, before you know it, the clause is expired by the end of July. Yep, so it's like, well, you can't buy him now. Well, you can, but it's no longer 85 million. My third player is Jarrod Bowen, which sounds a bit wild given the season he's just had. But because of the season he's just had, I think all he has to do is maintain consistency. If he can repeat what he did last season next season, not only will we have an incredible player on our hands once again, but if the other players around him can just up theirs a little bit, then we've got a good team on our hands.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be pivotal, actually, in terms of goals and stuff. And for the reasons that you said earlier in regards to how traditionally Lopetegui plays, with allowing or wanting his wide players to tuck inside, I think that'll suit Jarrod Bowen down to the ground. And I actually think, this is going to sound really weird, I think Bowen might succeed under Lopetegui because of what he did under David Moyes. I don't think his role will change that much. But I think that's what will allow Bowen to continue succeeding next season. Whereas Kudus, while he's had a good season, I would argue his position / role needs changed in order to get more out of him. The same with Paquetá. Yeah. But with Bowen, actually, nothing needs to change. Just allow him to do what he did last season. And if you do that, you've got a damn fine player on your hands, because we've seen it now for 3 of the last 4 seasons. The one prior, when we won the Conference League, he didn't have a great season. He was all right. He was still decent, but it wasn't his best season in West Ham shirt. But last season and the one before that, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And if we can keep that level of Jarrod Bowen, we've got one of England's better players and one of the Premier League's better players, actually, in terms of goals and assists in him. And that's all Lopetegui has to do, just let him do what David Moyes let him do. Damn fine player in our hands. And I think he will. And if anything, he's going to get closer to the striker. And because of the way we're going to play, hopefully, he'll see even more chances next season, more of the ball, more chances, more runs. You might even see a slight improvement of the numbers that he produced last season. And I'm only saying a slight one because they were so impressive. There's not much room for him to go. If he does a bit more, he's hitting 20 Premier League goals, which would just be incredible. So there you go. Sure. That's my 3. But my 3rd one's a bit of a curveball. But I was debating Kudus. I was debating Mavropanos. There's quite a few contenders that we could have thrown in there, if you like. But there you go. That's our 3. So that's Gonzo's 3, and that's my 3. Please get involved in the comments below. Give us the 3 players you think will benefit or succeed with Lopetegui's manager next season. And like I said, we've already done the video of the 3 players that may struggle because of Lopetegui joining West Ham United. The link's in the description. It'll be on your screen in about a few seconds' time. However, if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe anytime I chat myself and Gonzo. Well, catch you on the forum channel.